You might be asking why we are engaging in a competition with the Garmin Fenix 7X, the so-called best watch of today. You might believe it is not necessary, but you would be mistaken. Coros Vertix 2 heated up the competition for Garmin, and the final result was a very evenly matched contest. Fenix and Vertix both have premium outdoor watch appearances. That is indeed what they are. Garmin put the screws inside the watch's legs, which helps to create the sleek appearance, despite the fact that they dominate both models. Coros is not a cheapskate, and the watch has screws in just about every place. On the entire structure and the strap, there are a whopping 18 screws, which is a lot. Naturally, I also need to highlight their sizes. I believe that only guys or really brave ladies should wear these models. The Vertix 2 is barely a millimeter smaller than the 51mm diameter of the Fenix 7X. It's interesting to observe that the watch's silicone straps weigh the same, though. 89 grams with a titanium bezel and back case. If anyone claims that Coros is stealing from Garmin, I would dare to disagree because both models have distinctive appearances. I was mistaken to think this would never happen. Here, a touchscreen is quite logical, perhaps even more so than on Garmin. Coros. One of Coros' strongest attacks against Garmin, in my opinion, is the Coros Magic Touch. Only the graphs or maps on the Coros display activate the touchscreen. The ability to mostly choose where you want to utilize Garmin is up to you, which isn't always a benefit. This essentially implies that you have the option of using the touch for general use, activity, or sleep. With a preset shortcut, you can easily fast alter this setting, which is helpful for maps. The display is the same size, 1.4 inch, and has a 280 by 280 pixel resolution. Most likely, there isn't anything wrong with the size or readability. Beautiful sunshine readability, the option to watch sports on both models with up to 8 data fields. Just wonderful. Coros, with its magic touch, is still in the lead in my opinion. In terms of sensor technology, there isn't really much more that can be done with outdoor watches. Coros has an ECG and measures watts. NFC payment is available through Garmin, and ANT Plus is a major drawback for Vertix 2. By doing this, Coros has made it quite evident that this watch is inappropriate for cyclists, as are practically all ANT Plus-based cycling sensors. Correctness is a somewhat unrelated subject. Knowing your heartbeat from your wrist is seldom completely accurate, as we all know. Coros used to be the leader in this, but after releasing the Vertix 2, it somewhat dropped its standards. Both models measured almost the same number both at rest and during activity. With GPS and render, it is also pretty comparable. And most importantly, both are excellent. Consider it for yourself, though. Even in cities, both models are incredibly hot. Both in sports and urban life, Garmin is king. While Coros offers watt measurements, it lacks ANT Plus and NFC. Garmin may take pleasure in having one as a result. This is most likely how a dispute about battery life between Garmin and Coros would appear. There is no disputing that both are titans. The numbers on both models are just extraterrestrial. Coros can run twice as long in the smartwatch mode, it's true, but there are a few drawbacks. The biggest one is probably not continuously monitoring the heartbeat every second, but rather once every 10 minutes. It's fairly balanced with GPS, so let me throw the numbers into the table to make it more understandable. Despite the fact that the term smartwatch is frequently used these days, these watches are naturally based mostly on sporting characteristics. Actually, the rest of the tasks are only support for the athletic ones. Speaking of sports, the lack of activities on Coros compared to Garmin may be a source of complaint. You don't need to worry, though, because both watches contain all the most well-known ones. Because the watch lacks animated exercises, Vertix 2 may be slightly less advantageous for consumers who engage in indoor sports, although how often do you actually use it, off the top of your head? Then, in addition to the fundamentals, Garmin offers daily training advice, a spoken training status that describes how you're doing and what you can do to better, a new stamina function, and the ability to divide intervals of walking from running. Coros prides themselves on their long-term outlook, which is something I truly appreciate. Therefore, if the watch is capable of running an ultra-marathon, they should also have access to training for this distance, and you'll find that in Coros. Structured preparation for a 100-mile run. Garmin offers a ton of training sessions over a range of distances as well, but Garmin doesn't yet support ultra-running. It's entertaining to observe how time passes. The first stamina feature, which displayed how many kilometers you can still run, was available on Coros. Garmin also came up with it this year. The dual-band satellite reception that Garmin eventually used was also visible for the first time at Coros. Is it a coincidence or are people mimicking one another? The assessment of our training is one of the most crucial aspects. There are a few words that are not fully common, but I believe it is possible. I'll stop rambling now and show you this image. You can find all the information you need regarding your training in the sidebar. The specific kilometers and units related to these kilometers are set on the main screen. By clicking the red circle, where various metrics will open, you can then enhance these units. There is a similarity between the two assessments. If you're handy, you can learn more at Coros, but the classic Garmin watch is still fantastic, and has all the features a professional athlete needs. Finally, if none of the platforms appeal to you, try Strava for some solace. Of course, neither of these two models fits this assertion in the slightest. Phone notifications, accepting or declining calls, music, and so forth. Then, Garmin unquestionably takes the lead thanks to those streaming services and the NFC payment, which Coros regrettably lacks. True, Coros can control GoPro outdoor cameras, which I think is a nice feature, but not everyone will use it, since it costs money. Naturally, neither of these two models fit the description in this sentence. Coros can only play MP3 files. Garmin can reply to phone notifications, but not vice versa. Coros can also mute calls, and so forth. With those streaming services and the NFC payment, which Coros regrettably lacks, Garmin then unquestionably takes the lead. Although I consider Coros' ability to operate GoPro exterior cameras to be a wonderful feature, not everyone will utilize it since it costs money. Both versions include the fundamentals, such as an alarm clock, stopwatch, compass, and other features of the same nature. And now it's definitely time to assess this category, where I believe Garmin has a tiny advantage because it handles city life better. Two titans, essentially the greatest there is right now, are difficult to evaluate. The game is quite evenly matched, and I can confidently state that we have not one, but two winners. After all, the Garmin Fenix 7XS enhanced usability makes it a little more accessible to individuals. Everyone will know you are wearing a cult model watch if you wear a Fenix with a suit and go to the theater, a sporting event, or a pub. Coros are more challenging to appearance around because they are a bit more of an outdoor watch. If you wear these, everyone will know that you are a hiker. It's a tie in terms of functionality. Garmin's ability to accept NFC payments and offer streaming services will influence someone's decision, and someone will choose a Coros because it has somewhat better sports metrics and watts that can be read directly from the wrist. Both versions are incredibly intriguing and are justifiably considered the best outdoor watches. Therefore, whichever decision you make, you won't go wrong. Thank you for watching this review. I hope it was useful for you. Have a nice day and see you soon.